Hannibal and the Hannibal TV mascot Piper here, who's not liking the air from all the fires going on in Ontario and Quebec right now. The air quality is affecting animals, and it's affecting some animals a lot worse that are dealing directly with the fire. My prayers and thoughts are with everyone that's being affected by these fires. Rampage last night, or sorry, Dynamite last night did a 0.33 rating. Seth Rollins, the third world champion of the WWE, did an interview today where he said that if WWE wasn't as hot as it was at the moment, there might not be a need to have more than one world champion. But the world champion isn't around much and it doesn't make the live events. So, in other words, they wanted to create other world titles rather than just put the world title on someone that can make the live events. Instead, they put the title on him, a guy that got beat up by a fan about a year and a half ago. I don't know. It's funny that you can have three world title belts in a company. To me, it just. I mean, the only thing good that it can set up for is a future Rollins versus Roman Reigns match. And I do understand it now. They can say that they have a world champion on the house shows, and it will build heat up towards that match since the Cody Rhodes thing has come and gone. There isn't really that many challengers for Roman Reigns left other than The Rock or Rick Steiner's son, who I hope will not lose to Seth Rollins. He has a match coming up against Seth Rollins. I think Rick Steiner's son, which I don't like the name Braun Breaker, but I think Rick Steiner's son has by far the most potential of anyone to be the next mega star. And by the way, I did a couple polls today related to Tony Khan's announcement last night on Dynamite of the match at Collision for CM Punk's debut. It's going to be a trios match, not just a one-on-one match with Samoa Joe teaming with a couple of New Japan guys against CM Punk and FTR. And I know I got a lot of AEW fans on this channel, but 42% of you said this is a must-see match. So I would suggest Collision's probably going to get a good rating. To me, I would have rather seen him in a one-on-one. To me, FTR is a smaller version of the Brain Busters, a less cool, smaller version of the Brain Busters, who were also small. But these guys are even smaller. They're like mini Brain Busters. And anyways, I know that some people like them. So there you go. Most people on this channel didn't win by much, but by a little bit. 58% of you said you're not interested in seeing the match. I'm sure I will watch the highlights. And this one I'm actually shocked by. Who would you rather see in AEW, CM Punk or Bill Goldberg? 53% of you said CM Punk. 47% said Bill Goldberg. You know what? That's got to at least tell Tony Khan, if you're watching this, and I know you watch wrestling news stuff, it's probably worth bringing in Bill Goldberg for at least a few matches because, I mean, you apparently love CM Punk and the fans love CM Punk, but Goldberg got 47%. However, one fan did make an interesting comment about CM Punk, and I will agree with this guy, Craig. He said, quote, CM Punk's old news at this point. He's going back there because WWE won't touch him. Besides, it's not like he can't sabotage his career anymore. The than he has. And again, with Punk, you never know. I mean, he is under contract to AEW, so he couldn't go to WWE. As far as your comment about him sabotaging his own career, and lots of people have done that. CM Punk is not the only one that has done that. You got to agree. Didn't he quit WWE at one point when he was still under contract because Batista was coming in to win the Royal Rumble and Batista was a bigger star? And he walked out. It was something along those lines from what I recall. Then he makes his comeback finally to eight, or then he does UFC and doesn't train hard enough. He trains for all these years with these top coaches, but obviously doesn't dedicate himself enough to it and sabotages his own UFC opportunity because with the amount of time he took to dedicate himself to training and the great access he had to the very best of the best coaches, I can only think, and he is tough. I mean, he was able to take beatings, particularly in his second fight. He got beat up pretty much the whole fight. So I'm not saying he's not tough. He's got the toughness of being able to absorb punishment. So I have to think he just didn't train hard enough or put enough effort into those UFC fights because his second opponent never fought MMA again, to my knowledge, and was a 0-1. The first opponent was a guy that he didn't have much of a chance with. The second opponent, I mean, I talked to Forrest Griffin, one of the UFC matchmakers, just before that fight happened. I did an interview with Forrest, and he said that the UFC thought that was a guy that CM Punk could possibly beat. He told that to me himself. So, as far as sabotaging his big AEW thing last year, he also did that. So, yes, this comment is correct. CM Punk is mostly responsible for self-sabotaging himself because he's definitely had the opportunities. No gimmicks guy Jack Kilby, who just did his second interview with the ECW ring announcer, is coming back Saturday at 7 p.m. with ECW Original Nova on his Shooting from the Hip podcast with Angel Medina. I just actually watched the Kiwi Shooting from the Hip podcast with Jack Kilby and Angel Medina, and Kiwi's Alan Funk, for those of you that don't know. And I thought it was possibly their best, maybe one of their best. Ken Patera may be their best. And by the way, I was going to tell you, here's a piece of trivia, and I should actually go back and make this a clip. For the very first shoot interview with Nova I did, which was during my trip when I went to Nashville, Louisville, Mississippi, and all this, before AEW ever started. I think it was in like 2018. Nova predicted AEW would happen. He literally predicted AEW would happen in my first shoot interview with him. So there you go. Nova is one of the ECW. I think Nova retired this past year. I think they did a whole BWO retirement thing. And I believe he was from Rick Bassman's UPW school. Another Rick Bassman guy. Rick Bassman, I saw recently, did a speech at Rikishi School. And speaking of Jack Kilby, here he is, the Smith Falls Memorial Center, where in a little over a month, Great North Wrestling returns with Carlito, Nunzio, the Blood Hunter, Magnum McLaren, Canadian champion Jeremy Prophet, Jessica Black. More to be announced. There's going to be a tables match on this card. It's going to be quite something. And by the way, tickets for this one are moving a lot better than the tickets for the Great North Wrestling return event in Ottawa, which ended up having almost 500 fans. So I think we're going to have a great crowd out in Smith Falls, July 15th. AEW is filled with people that have great contracts and overall pretty easy jobs. I would hope they will never take me. They will never. You never say never, but it seems like AEW is like an amazing place to work as far as getting paid a lot to not have to work that much. And yeah, wrestling is a hard job, but for someone that's the most he's ever made for one match is $400. These people that are making like $250,000 to wrestle a handful of times a year. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Has Mickey Gall won a fight since defeating Punk? Mickey Gall finished Punk pretty quick. Let's see here. It was Michael Jackson that never fought again. And after the second fight, Dana White said he wouldn't even put Punk on press pass again. Let's see here. Mickey Gall. He's 31, so he had the like. I don't blame Punk for losing the first one, other than he had so much time to train and train with the best possible people. I do think, as someone that has been a successful amateur wrestler, that if you put in a certain amount of training and dedicate yourself, you should perform to a certain level. But let's see what his record is. Sorry, guys. I was looking at his Wikipedia. Mickey Gall record. He didn't have a great record. 7 wins, 5 losses, 0 draws. He hasn't knocked out anybody. 6 of his wins have been by submission. So there you go, Mickey Gall, the guy. So the guy that it's not like he went on to a stellar career either. Maybe he just looked a lot better because he was more talented than the second guy that CM Punk fought. Mickey Gall last fought on April 9th, 2022. And it was a loss. He's lost his last 2 fights. His last fight was a knockout. So there you go, Jeffrey. I'm a man of the people. So give us a like and subscribe. We're almost 361,000 subscribers now. What ended in a no contest due to the USADA pool? The Mickey Gall one? Or I know that the Brock Lesnar Mark Hunt fight ended in a no contest in the USADA pool. So technically, Brock got knocked out by Junior Del Santos. Or no, he got knocked out by Alistair Overeem and Cain Velasquez. Then he beat Mark Hunt by decision, and then it was overturned because he failed the drug test. Oh, really? Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson, I guess. Okay, so there you go. CM Punk is 0 wins, 1 no contest, and 1 loss. That's good to know, Mohammed. See, we're learning a lot today. So there you go. Maybe CM Punk will have it. I don't think he's ever going to have another Ultimate fight because he gets paid so much money to wrestle, which is a lot easier. And I don't see any upside to him fighting again. But congratulations to him on his no contest on the last fight. I'm not saying that he doesn't have courage, even though you're making 500,000 and there's a referee there to stop it. Unlike in a street fight and there's no weapons, it's an athletic fight. But a lot of wrestlers would not fight MMA, so I'll give him props for that. But I just wish he had trained harder and had a better showing. But I do understand that he got I know that his friend used a chair and teeth in that backstage fight with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. So I'm not sure if it was a fair fight, but I do understand that Punk and his friend Ace Steel got the upper hand in the backstage AEW fight. So there you go. Hope everyone has a great night. I'm actually watching Rocky V right now, featuring Tommy Morrison. I did a great interview before I forget. Well, a very juicy interview with the baby mama of Oscar De La Hoya's son, Devin, has the same name as me, who now works with Oscar in Golden Boy Promotions. And she talked in that interview about Tommy Morrison, and how she had heard through another fighter that was involved with Don King, some stuff that collaborated what Tommy Morrison's widow has been trying to get across for a long time. So sad situation all along. Tommy was a good guy at the start, then downhill in Rocky V. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Rockies. But after talking about Tommy with his wife last night, and with De La Hoya's wife or ex, I guess you could say mother of De La Hoya's kid today, I just had to watch this Rocky V again. I'm a huge fan of the first 5 Rockies, massive fan of them. And since I'm training pretty hard right now, I find them motivational. So, bye.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe